Let's go.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining us again. We're live. Audio's on. We're clean. This is a good, fresh start. We got a fun episode lined up for everybody. And with a lot of the crew intact for the first time in a long time, we have a fun game to wrap it up with. But starting it off, we're going to be talking about how from empowerment to embarrassment, the OnlyFans dilemma. Following that up, we're going to be talking about how LeBron James, man who runs a failing Ohio school, is to be given an honorary doctorate in public service by the Ohio State. And then, like I said, at the end, we're going to be playing a game, and the game is Headline or Headlie. But that being said, I'm very excited. We got a full crew for the first time in a long time. Ricky from Just Another Day TV and the Silent Destroyer, the authoritarian and partner. Couldn't be more excited to have him back with us. And
yes, man.
The keys, it's right. And on the keys, running it in Doug's absence. Will, thanks for keeping us going.
I do what I can.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not much, but it's honest work.
All right, let's kick off the episode. So normally we reserve the beginning of our episodes for updates on past segments and just like updates for the show. And while Silent may say that this is something he's already, finished and breached, fully exhausted with his audience, I was literally raised by our producer 10 minutes before we started that Silence made a few headlines in a story where he got robbed on a live stream. So now being a kick partner, we've missed you for a while. And in your absence, you're catching headlines. You're becoming, a household name. What happened?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. So I met this TikToker. She was a TikTok live streamer, and her and I got along really well. And I flew her in from the Philippines, and essentially we were hanging out. We were staying in a hotel together. We're just hanging out, kicking it, making live streams every day, making content. Everything was going great. Then as a joke, she, on her stream, she said that she wanted money. And so while I was sleeping, by the way, mind you, I was in the hotel room sleeping when this happened. And she touched my wallet. She took it and she opened it and she took money. Now, she says that she didn't take the money. She said that she returned it, but I didn't believe it, to be honest. And I think she took the money. And regardless of if she took the money or not, touching another man's wallet, especially while he's asleep, is a big no-no, especially when I've only known you for 3 weeks, So, yeah, I got extremely upset about that whole thing. And the last few days we were together, it was just like it was not that good. It just didn't end well. And so I had planned to leave anyways. And like, I already have her simps right now on my chat, like protecting her. They just all watch me all the time, but they don't type anything. But as soon as I start talking about her, they all come into the chat and they start typing. And yeah, it's
exhausting.
It's pretty bad, but it is what it is, man. Like at the end of the day, I did something really nice for someone. I transferred them from becoming a TikToker to becoming a kick streamer. They now have like a nice income stream revenue. I took care of them for 3 weeks. I paid for everything, the hotels, the food, all of that. And if they want to be ungrateful and do things like touch my wallet as a joke, then sorry, like I'm just going to be done with you. And that's all that it is.
So just a follow-up question. I appreciate we'll put that's a bow on that topic. I don't want to pick at a scab. But something I am curious about in terms of like streaming culture. Is it not weird and obscure to be like being recorded or streaming while you're asleep. Like the amount of people that are doing like a TikTok live and it's them just like sleeping in front of their phone. It's so bizarre to me that that's entertaining to people to begin with, but it's definitely not entertaining for them to watch the three of our mugs up here sleep. Like, no, they're looking for cute young girls that they can watch sleep. How's that not like super weird? And like to you, that didn't like, that's not a red flag type situation, but it's streaming. And hey, that's part of the culture. And this is what we do.
And by the way, let me be clear. She was not streaming me sleeping. She was just in the room streaming while I was sleeping.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't really sleeping on the stream, but yeah, so it was a little different. But the whole sleep stream category thing, I think a lot of it is because a lot of people have a lot of stress and anxiety, and I guess it helps them sleep. But other than that, I can't really think of any other reasons why you would want to watch a sleep stream. Like personally, I don't watch sleep streams, but I understand the people that do, because it's like, oh, I watch someone fall asleep. Maybe it encourages me to fall asleep, or like maybe the noise of their stream can be used as like white noise. I don't know. Again, I personally don't watch sleep streams.
Wait.
So I wouldn't get it.
Not the same as white noise, because white noise is white noise. You're going to a YouTube video to listen to white noise. I watching a person sleep to me is so bizarre.
I agree. I personally don't do it. Right? Like I said, I don't understand it, but
how does it not have like some sexual, implications?
Yeah, especially when it's a girl too. Like it's a little, like I said, it's a little weird, but it's one of those things that kind of like took off, I guess, with streaming culture, and it's just been done ever since, because some people just stream their life 24/7, 365, like kind of like when Fusi did his 30-day fast, right? For example, like something like that, like I understand why you would sleep on stream, because, he wants to show people that, hey, listen, I'm actually fasting for 30 days and you can watch me even while I'm sleeping. I'm not like getting up and sneaking to the fridge and eating while I'm supposed to be sleeping. Like in those kind of cases, I get it. But, or if it's a subathon, right? Like if you're traveling and it's a subathon and there's a timer, and every time someone subscribes or donates, the timer keeps adding. And so because you want to like, deplete the timer, you just keep the stream on so that the timer depletes, so that when the timer depletes, people sub more because they want to see you more. So like that I understand too. But other than those two like rare cases, I don't understand why you would ever sleep on stream personally. I don't get it, honestly.
So I think the way I asked that question, because I didn't really realize it at the time, blurred the line of like two separate topics, I guess. So you did a good job of answering the one of like sleeping on stream, which is a whole weird niche going on.
Yeah.
But then my follow-up is you're kind of opening the door to a whole nother consideration, which is like this is me talking to a mechanic about the life of working in the garage. Yeah. My question to you is the life of being a paid streamer. Doesn't it, like, this to me, I'm not doing it enough and to such an exhausting degree that it's left being a fun hobby. It's still exactly that.
Right.
At a certain point, that fun hobby you signed up for becomes your career. You've got like financial strife with people within your inner circle, relationships, family. They're all like, what do you've got this back and forth. And it's like, well, I'm doing this because I love it. But then at some point, bro, you've got to be sitting in front of a camera for 10, 20 hours. And like half of that is 3 a.m. with half the room asleep. Like, at what point are you like, is there ever a point where you're like, this is too much? This has become exhausting. This is kind of absorbing. It's because the problem is Fuzi, like, one, he's gotten to a plateau where he can go in waves. He could do 30 days straight and then just do it for like 6 hours a day. And 6 hours a day is less than what our working men are doing, right? 8 hours, 10 hours a day. If you're working 6 hours a day, just walking around mukbanging, that's a good life. But
of course,
to get there, you had to do 30 days nonstop. You had to do 15, 25 hours. Is there ever a point where you're like, this is giving more than it's worth? Or is this that passion, knitting, painting, surfing, that you're like, nah, it doesn't matter if it's a gazillion hours. I'm doing it because I love it.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, it's very different, right? Because a lot of people stream for different reasons, right? Some people stream because they want to be like menaces and nuances, and they want to document that, and they want people to like pay them to be menaces and nuances. Some people stream because they want to spread a wholesome message. Like, it depends on why. Like, what's your why? Like, for me, my why is I just want to travel the world and I want to experience the entire globe as much as I can. And I want to document that. And alongside too, I want to do the podcast with you guys. I want to do some gaming. I want to do like, I'm kind of like a variety streamer. I don't really like just travel. I don't really do just games. I don't really do just like Discord calls or podcasts. I like to do a lot of things at once. And I think for each person, you just have to find like your niche and find your audience. And for a lot of people, they may come to my stream and say, oh, what the hell, Silent? You're just like sitting here in the kitchen eating. Like, what are you doing? You need to go out and travel and blah, 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 blah. And those people, it's fine. Like, you don't have to watch every single stream, because I always tell streamers, like, not every single stream you make is going to be a hit, and you have to be okay with that. It's usually the consistency and the momentum that takes you where you want to go. And that's where a lot of streamers fail, is they are inconsistent and they give up once they see like, oh no, my views went from 20 to 10, or my views went from 5 to 10, or 100 to 50, or 50 to 30, or whatever. And they worry too much about like the small picture. But the big picture is, you want to try your best to build a solid community that's going to watch you, like you said, even if you're just doing 6 hours walking around LA like Fusi, right? Obviously, Fusi busted his ass for like 10, 15 years on YouTube and on Twitch and on Kick to get to that level, right? And that's where a lot of people fail, is they just don't have it in them to keep that momentum and keep that consistency and that drive to keep going forward. And that's why a lot of people fail to become like daily live streamers or make a career out of it. It's because they worry too much about the numbers. They worry too much about the content. But the way I see it is, you just turn it on and go, and you try to make it the best stream you can at that day. And it's not always going to be the best, you know, it's not always going to be like good, but that's okay. You have to accept that that's part of the process.
I love that response, because I mean, would you agree that part of it is just saying that you're not doing it for, like you said, the numbers, the money. As long as you're doing it for what compels you, your passion, then you're never going to be defined by any of those other things that kind of rely upon it. And you can create a healthy, manageable lifestyle, so you don't have to do 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
You can do your whatever's manageable. Like, you really should be putting in as much of it as you can.
Yes.
If you're ever going to believe you're going to get as much of it out as you possibly can.
There's dues, right? Like there's dues that you have to pay, right? Just like with YouTube, just like with any other career, there's certain amount of hours that you like have to clock in, because a lot of people don't understand that usually in streaming, the first like foundation when you're building your community, you have to put yourself out there for as long as you possibly can every single day. And that's how people see you, right? People notice you. And usually people respect that kind of grind, because not everybody is putting in those hours. Most streamers put in like 1 or 2 hours, and, you know, they have like a lot of technical issues. They're not even on the stream themselves. It's just like a video of them playing. That's like 90% of most streamers. It's just like them playing games, for example, right? And like no mic, no cam, no like community building. And that's what it is. You have to realize that you're competing with people that are like putting in minimal effort. So just you putting the effort gets you probably in the top 10% streamers. Just that alone, just you being consistent and putting in hours. Obviously, like you said, as you grow a community and as you foster a community and you have like recurring viewers and you have enough kind of income coming in from subs, from Kick partnership money, from donations, then you can kind of like take your foot off the gas and maybe stream for only like 6 hours or 5 hours or whatever. Right.
Well, exciting stuff, dude. I'm happy for you, and it'll be an interesting journey as it continues.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited for the future. I'm looking forward to traveling more, doing more podcasts with you guys, and creating the best content I can every single day.
Cheers to that. And what makes this such like an exciting update to kick off today's episode is it runs along, you know, as Silent and Ricky from Just Another Day TV, all of us can really relate to the effort and grind it takes to continue to work at something, even when you're not necessarily seeing the fruits you would hope that would match your efforts. But that runs along the same vein as our next topic, from empowerment to embarrassment, the OnlyFans dilemma, where there's multi-millionaire young women and all they had to do was get naked in front of a whole bunch of strangers. And so that's the interesting dynamic is we have a studio full of grinders that are out here trying to talk about how difficult it is to traverse the terrain of growing on this media space. All one girl has to do is take her top off, and she could be worth $72 million.
And how much money have you made total out of this whole thing?
Total? Around 72 million.
72 million? Okay, what's the most expensive thing that you've bought so far?
Probably my house.
Your house?
Yeah, my house. I just dropped, it was 2.7 million on my house.
Okay, now is that the Bop house or that's your solo house?
No, that's my solo house. So I'm trying to start a farm, actually.
A farm?
A farm in Florida, and I just bought 20 acres with a giant mansion on it. So
wow.
That was my biggest purchase. Bought it cash.
Damn.
So this is Sophie Rain, guys. $72 million in a given year. She just dropped $2.7 million on a farm that she's making with the fam. Part of the interview continues to go on, and she just ran, I want goats and cows, and we're going to the farm with the family, and it's just my beautiful home. And what a dream. And while, hey, get yours, it isn't to say that you didn't do something that didn't earn every penny. Listen, 7 million creeps were willing to give you $1. Really, it was probably half of that. 3.5 million were willing to give you $2. That's the value of the rest of your life, as this ghost will loom above you. And it becomes comical when these folks then plead victim. So here's the situation. Former American actress Riley Reid is currently happily married and joins the Lana Rhoades movement. She mentioned that she would like all of her content to be deleted from all internet because she regrets her past and wants to regain her dignity and respects, she just wants to leave it all behind her as she begins this new part of her life. Here's what's interesting. There's a double dynamic here. One, there's just the pornographic industry. These people over here in the cornfields. And then there's OnlyFans. That's a whole nother new modern dynamic to an old archaic problem. Here's Riley Reid. Her problem's, I would say, a stickier wicket than the OnlyFans. I lack empathy in both scenarios, but I have a unique lack of empathy here because you've sold your rights away. Here's what's interesting. You go to a bunch of girls on TikTok and they're like, it's me, my OnlyFans, and you're paying directly to me, and OnlyFans scraping a little bit off the top, but you're paying just me, and I have full control on what goes out. Riley Reid and some of these other ones were interesting because they inserted themselves into an industry that was already predatory. Mm-hmm. Are we going to seriously pretend they didn't know that? But we will, because that's the amnesia type society we live in. So we'll pretend that they didn't know that's what they were getting into, and then they got taken advantage of. However, they stroked the pen for every contract that, one, bought them a Maserati, however, also gave the rights of that content to all the other mean, icky men. So when they paid you a Maserati for you and 10 black guys, that's a you problem. Because guess what? You can't sit here and go, my son gets made fun of in the football locker room, and then demand the guy that gave you a Maserati's worth of money to take it down. He owns that. That's a you problem. And then that comes to the more unique side of OnlyFans, which is, it's my content. I'm in full control. Then who are you even close to a victim to? And again, when these girls are making $72 million, I think, one, if there were enough gross, creepy dudes into my feet, I'd probably take pictures just so I didn't have to wake up and go to work tomorrow. But here we are. And then it's this inundation of victimhood that comes from this overly paid industry. Here's an interesting one that came about as we're kind of preparing this segment. A girl named Emily Galfire. She's always kind of been a cute but heavier set girl. And her whole shtick is that she just does it, gets nude in public spaces in the parks. She goes and sunbathes in creeks. She's like a hillbilly girl, mountain girl. She goes in the creeks. She goes in the dirt. That's where she's at. And now people who have been paying her money are commenting about her looks.
Well, I knew it wouldn't take very long before I started posting in a swimsuit to get these comments. I've been getting them for like the last month. So let's just address it now. No, I have a belly. I gained a lot of weight in the last year. I had a very stressful year of life. I've actually lost 20 pounds in the last 2 months though. And I'm on a path where I'm losing weight every day. I'm working out, I'm exercising, I'm taking lots of walks. I'm eating healthy. I'm taking better care of myself. This is actually the healthiest I've been in my entire life. So sorry I might not be teeny tiny Emily by the river like I used to be, but guess what? I was extremely unhealthy and under the influences of substances during that entire time frame. I no longer am. Yeah, I put on a few pounds. A lot, actually, more like 40, but I've already lost 20, so... Comments like this are so rude. You didn't ask that because you actually thought I had a baby inside of me. You asked that trying to allude to the fact that I gained weight. Congratulations, it's just a belly. You know how many men walk around with just their shorts on and their...
And how many of those men are getting paid dollar bills from other strangers?
Giant beer guts hanging out. And women say nothing. Because us women really don't...
And you don't pay them nothing neither.
Don't give a fuck. Because we know bodies change all the time. And we just don't care, okay? So...
And that's why the industry isn't made up by women. The industry's made up by men because they're the ones paying it. It's a gross reality, but it's a gross reality you live to capitalize from. So... I've given my diatribe. I have a severe lack of empathy. Maybe a round table can liberate me from my ignorances and build some empathy for me. But first, Ricky, we haven't heard much from you. Ricky, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I have no empathy. I have no bad feelings for them either. Like, you made your bed, lay in it. You know what I mean? Like,
and she be laying on her back in it.
In millions. Like, if y'all want to complain, just use y'all millions and get away and disappear.
Bingo. Ricky can find an island for you. Silent, what are your thoughts?
I mean, just like Ricky said, everything that you do in life, there's a consequence to your action. If you take that path, you have to realize that there are consequences that you take in that path. You may make $70 million in 2 years or whatever, however much it is. But remember, there's a consequence to that. You lose your soul, your dignity, your respect. And most people will not take you seriously as a person, who objectifies themselves because they're just going to see you as an object for the rest of your life. Even if you manage to delete all the content. And by the way, a lot of the content, it may be deleted off of the, surface level internet, but if you go to page 2 or page 3 of a search engine, you'll probably still find a lot of that content. So, because the internet is forever, and whatever you put out there on the internet is going to stay on there forever. And I think a lot of these people don't realize that when you take this path, there's a lot of things that you will never get back. It's like a vase, like when you break a vase, like if you break a vase, you can glue it back together, but it will never be the same. It will always be a broken vase.
I love that analogy. Will, did you want to jump in on this?
Hey, I mean, I don't care how you get your bag. Don't blame me for it, though.
Right.
Right. What I will say, though, is watching Ricky's face during that video was highly entertaining if you weren't. I've never seen him more just like, I have thoughts on a face. I mean, here I do have a question. And was OnlyFans founded for this reason, or was the purpose of the platform to be something else?
So I think the purpose of the platform, and this is definitely, I say I think because there's always an asterisk, but it definitely is how it was initially, sold to society. Its intention was nowhere near this, and it was for independent creators to create their own audiences and to financially gain directly from them. So it could be art, you're displaying your art, music, poetry, whatever your niche is. This was an ability for you to curate an audience and them to subscribe directly to you. And
Okay.
just like everything, just like the internet did. I mean, just like first we made magazines, boobs. First we made cable, boobs. Then we made the internet, boobs. It's just like the first they make the medium, then the medium immediately gets taken over by boobs. And the ones holding the boobs are like, my turn to capitalize. And they dive right in. And so that's what we're experiencing is we created the internet, boobs. Then we created OnlyFans. And then it just like blows up as everything blossoms.
Right.
And here's what's funny is for Mrs. Johnson in 1982, for her past when she was 19 and a centerfold for the Playboy magazine, for that to unearth itself and haunt her little baby Billy at school, somebody would have to unearth that magazine. Somebody would have to draw the connection. Oh my God, is Claudia Magdalene Claudia now Johnson? Because that was her maiden name. Like there's the internet is like one, Ricky said, so permanent, so everything. But now it's exponential. Now everybody has that centerfold, quote unquote, in their backyard or in their back pocket. And it's directly tied to you, Mrs. Johnson. I commend the suburban mothers that have like the eye wrap, where they'll put like little bandana on or a half mask where they're like, ooh, you can't tell who I am. It's like, okay. But the rose tattoo on your shoulder still sells you up the river. But at least it's like twice removed and it will take some investigation. The only people that would really know it's you are like the most intimate inner circles. But again, this is so exponential that it's almost impossible to hide from. So it becomes comical when these people come back and play victim. And I don't want the interesting dynamic of today's topic to get lost only in OnlyFans. It really is just corn in general.
Right.
Like the fact that there's this movement, the Lana Rhoades movement, like this is the Taylor Swift thing. Whoa, Honey Bear, Taylor Swift. You don't get to sell all your music to a record label that makes you exponentially large. So large that you're an ultra billionaire selling out any stadium you touch. I want to go here. Boom. Sold out 2 nights. Like you only got that large because somebody with the megaphone gave it to you. And you're not allowed to just yell into the megaphone, become super famous, and then turn around and sue the megaphone. Well, yeah, I bought my Maserati, but I don't like that you own it and other people are able to use it. No, that's not right. So it's also like this new concept that we're obsessed with. I went and took a college loan out. And then I went and got a gender study course that isn't giving me a career that's paying off my college degree. That's a you problem. Why are we living in a society where all these folks are making contracts that are the worst trade deals of all trade deals? And then they're, like Will said, then they're making it a you problem. Bail me out of this. I don't know. Like, do you have any thoughts on that? It's pretty ridiculous that this is the society we're evolving into.
I mean, it's just that I view OnlyFans as like what its current state is just like kind of like just an exponential trend. It's kind of like just been leading to this, and eventually it'll be another one, and it'll be the same conversations that kind of come around it. What is it called? Your internet foot history. It's like these conversations we're having now that like we put out. It's like people could go back and find them. These are just conversations we're having, let alone explicit content you're putting out there. And then you signed the deal with the quote unquote devil. I'm not saying it is a devil, but that's what the phrase is. So, you kind of signed that own contract yourself. So you're kind of stuck with it.
Well, and just like every competitory world, you just have to keep leveling up to stay competitive. Take it from a voice lost in the ethos of podcasting, right? There's a big, everybody and their neighbor has a podcast, and unless I take my shirt off, we're lost in the mix. Well,
I'd pay for that.
I'll give it to you. I will happily take $72 million, feet pics and all.
I got a question. Since you mentioned $72 million, how old is that girl, though?
Ooh.
No, like, I mean, $72 million. Like, you should never have to work again. Like, realistically, like, can we like be completely honest?
Well, but again, that's what's funny is modern celebrity culture. She'll be needed more by 30. She'll be out of $72 million by 30. Sophie Rain.
Dude, do you know how much of that money I would immediately invest into like just certain like stocks that every year just net 8% gain?
Yeah.
Like just would never touch it. Just be like,
hold on, guys. Do you want to know how old Sophie Rain is? $72 million?
21?
2 million.
can I guess?
20 years old.
Oh, I was close. I was close.
She can't even think.
Yeah. And by the way, just for the record, she probably will not get 70 million. Most of that will go to taxes and fees, but even half of that is still a substantial.
Even half, yeah.
Even
Seriously.
half of that is like a substantial amount to set you for life, really.
You know, and that was kind of my thing when I said that comment. It's just like,
yeah.
Again, she obviously must be the like 0.001% of those.
Right. She's like top of
that money, but like
That's
still like for 72 million at 20, you have professional athletes that dedicate their entire bodies to a professional sport that don't even see that type of money at all in their career. And again, we all know with sports athletes, I mean, they burn through that money very quickly. Like they do courses like when they join the league for that reason. But
yeah,
I mean, oh my God, 72
Will,
million.
what are you saying? They're not putting their bodies on the line? Come on, bro.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I didn't say that.
All their bodies on the
I didn't
line.
say
Come
that.
on.
To double down on Ricky's, like, so what I was going to say is, as somebody lost in the ethos of podcasting, I recognize now it's not just, you know, a handful of 2% of women that are getting naked. It's like 60% are selling themselves on OnlyFans. Like, it's ever increasing. So easy to get. Imagine taking the leap of like, you saw the cute 20-year-old and you're like, I want $72 million. You ruin your whole social inner circle. Everything is now ruined. You're picking your kid up at the principal, your relationship with your bosses at work, everything's gone to jack. And all you got for it was like 10 grand. And like, you know, not even an annual salary. Well, like Ricky said, are these people not putting their body on the line to compete? You got to continue to ante up. You know, we had the one girl that slept with 100 people in one day. Then somebody was going to defeat that by going to 1,000 in one day. Then she said she did it, but she has no proof of it. Here's the newest story. This has been going on this weekend. OnlyFans Annie Knight shares her update from the hospital after having X with 583 men in 6 hours. And it not to save you some of the gruesome parts, she was hospitalized for bleeding for 2 days after completing a challenge where she slept with 583 men in 6 hours. So yeah, people are putting their body on the line. I don't think she walked out with 72 million. And you know what's funny is this young child who got, and I'm emphasizing to you pigs, 20 years old child. This child didn't need to do any. That's how gross we are. She didn't need 583 men. That girl probably stood in front of a mirror and got her 72 million. And then I got Annie Knight, who might have like 1 or 2 million, and she's bleeding for 2 days.
Yeah.
Dude, this is crazy.
Internet money is really crazy because when you have things that scale up, right? Like you said, for Sophie Rain, for example, if you think about it, like she only had to reach only a few million people every month, and that's how she got the 70 million. Right now, obviously, that's easier said than done. But with the scale and how fast things go viral on the internet, you can see how it's possible, right? And I think a lot of people are realizing that, oh my God, if I do OF, I could get to that level. But the reality is, like we said, there's maybe like 10 girls that are making that much money in the entire world from OnlyFans. That's it. Maybe 5 of them even.
Hall of Fame numbers.
Yeah. So it's
Hall
like
of Fame numbers.
Hall of
because
Fame.
because I think the average girl on OF makes like $200 a month, which is like that's not even minimum wage. So
What were you gonna say, Ricky?
And then you have moms out here that's already have kids that's getting fired from their jobs because the OF's
Or
got
teachers.
discovered.
We got stories of teachers.
Teachers,
I mean,
yep.
The fact that like the list at Brianna Campage and Megan Gather, teachers fired from OnlyFans content. Sammy, but then there's a grotesque side of it. Sammy's lawsuit against OnlyFans, where somebody had her participating in non-consensual content, and OnlyFans took their 20% cut, and she took them into a lawsuit where over 120 individuals reported similar issues of unauthorized explicit content on their platform. Victims described profound personal and social consequences. I think those were coming no matter what. But at least that was non-consensual. So like these are true victims.
Read the one under Becky's. Read the name.
Hold on.
Oh my God. What a stage
Becky's
name.
experience with revenge content and stalking. A 21-year-old woman from Australia's Gold Coast known as Becky faced severe harassment after posting explicit content on OnlyFans after rejecting advances from a subscriber. The subscriber and an accomplice, a worker of the industry, leaked her personal information, including her real name, age, and phone number and location, alongside explicit images of fake soliciting ads online. Becky received death threats and was bombarded with 100 texts and calls. The next one, I don't want to say that.
Bro, all she did was just gain fans from them guys putting her our information.
It's just
Like,
hell
that's
of a
all she
stage
did.
name,
it's
man.
kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, he's making me say the next one on all these lists of scandals. The next one is Billy Beaver's economic struggles and public criticism. What a name! What a stage name! Australian OnlyFans creator Billy Beaver, a stay-at-home mother, faced intense online backlash after posting an emotional TikTok video about losing subscribers during the 2020 economic downturn, which left her unable to pay bills. Trolls told her to get a job, just like Joshua Block. Lady, put the fries in the bag, dismissing her work as illegitimate. Beaver countered that her job required significant effort, I bet, including planning, marketing, and don't forget the physical labor. She argued that the criticism reflected unfair stigma against workers of the industry. Supporters online, big supporters, they love her work, echoed her sentiment, emphasizing that losing income, regardless of the job, is distressing. I'm sorry, Ricky, I cut you off because Will wanted me to talk about.
Sorry, Billy Beaver from Down Under. I mean, you can't be that, man.
So what's interesting is there's all these different problems, right, that you have to consider. And are we going to say in 2025, there's a dynamic where women don't know what they're signing up for? Is that really the dialogue here? Because I don't think the plea to ignorance is available to anyone anymore. It was barely available in 1960.
And a lot of these girls have their dads in their life.
Yes.
Which is
I ain't even
crazy.
a dad's
Yes.
fault no more. You know what I mean? Dad is getting a new Ferrari. I'm like,
Right.
You know what, though? I think we're seeing the new iteration, the modern iteration of modern daddy issues.
Right.
Like 1970, the daddy issue was he literally wasn't there. Like Austin Powers said, Daddy wasn't there to take me to the fair. Yeah. So I think that was the daddy issues of the past. But I think today's daddy issue is probably also kind of like the dad isn't there. But also, like, I think modern parenting is either like they're trying way too hard to be your friend and not a parent, which is a totally different relationship type. Or they're there, but like here's a boomer symptom. Sorry to bring the hard fact, but boomers are narcissists. Like this is an entire generation of people that have put themselves before raising their children 100% of the time. And I'm not even like projecting on my parents. It's growing up in a world where I was acutely aware of how other parents raise their kids, as well as my parents in that relationship too. But I'm talking, generally speaking, you know, like my parents, different from the pack, never took a vacation without us. And other parents would say to them all the time, like, that's so bizarre. Like, you need to do that. Leave them behind. Leave them with grandma and go for a trip. And it's like, sure, you say that. I look at my parents for the sake of their love and their own personal relationship. Could they have done that more? Sure. Definitely didn't hurt them not. But on the flip side, the people that were proclaiming that to them, go to grandma, go for a trip. You need you time. All they did was them time. The fact that I'm talking about a friend in my life who never left the state of Ohio. And it's like, but mom and dad were taking their trips. Wait, why was your first time out of the state of Ohio to 3 different states with my family? See, that's the narcissistic boomer dynamic I'm talking about, where it's like we're looking at a marketing crisis with the housing real estate situation. And they're looking at you like you're complaining when their house that they're trying to sell you for $750,000, they literally bought for 100. And they're like, what do you mean you don't want to pay $760, you cheap ass? Inflation's good for you. It's like, that's part of our problem too. So I think the modern daddy issue isn't that there isn't one. And it's like, how do we have all these sleuths bouncing around online with good loving daddies? I think either the good loving daddy was way too personable, trying to be a friend and wasn't an actual parent and let these kids run wild, or they were absentee, putting their own life and joy first, their ergo resulting in, then again, narcissistic, untethered children from reality. So that being said, a lot thrown out in these interesting dynamics, but as David would say, quite a circle jerk because we're all in alignment and agreement. So Ricky, let me get your wrapping thoughts on this whole topic.
They know what they're getting themselves into. You said that you mentioned a dad thing. I think it's more of like a materialistic thing. They see stuff that they couldn't have and want the quickest way to get it. So the quickest way they see is to spread the cheeks. They could go to college. Some of them go to college and then spread the cheeks and do it. But like, there's other options. They're not forced. They're not sex trafficked. Oh, I don't know if I can say that, but they're not flown across in bandages and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's all free will. If this is what they want to do, just have to live with the consequences. And no one really want to hear it. Y'all did
what
it,
I
bro.
can appreciate is that was quite literally the most blunt way you could put that. Like blunt, like a butter knife. Just, they're not wrapped in bandages and flown to the other side of the world. Okay, well, like Silent said, it's out there now. It's a part of All right, Silent, what are your wrapping thoughts?
I mean, there's the we discuss a lot there, but to sum it up, essentially at the end of the day, there's a lot of paths in life where you can take to build wealth, and just to piggyback right off of what Ricky said too, and to build off of that, a lot of people want it quick and they want it easy, right? So that's why they choose this path. But the reality is, this path is very tough. It's saturated. You're going to lose your respect. You're going to lose your dignity. Yes, you may have hundreds of millions of dollars in some cases, but guess what? You're going to lose a lot of things that you can never gain back and that money can never buy, which is, like I said, your respect, your dignity, all of that. And it's unfortunate because also to build off of what you said, a lot of boomer parents and a lot of parents nowadays, they're just so selfish that they don't want to take the time to guide their kids in the right way. But then again, a lot of parents still do guide their kids, but the kids end up doing whatever they want anyways, because like what Ricky said, they're literally seeing this stuff the materialistic stuff, like the jets, the cars, the mansions, 24/7 on social media, and it's polluted their brains so much to the point that they will sell themselves for the money. Whereas we all know, especially if you went to finance school or if you're a financially literate person, building actual wealth that's sustainable takes a long time. Warren Buffett gained 90% of his net worth in the last 20 years of his life. Why? Because he used compound interest and time in his favor, right? But a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to build wealth the classic way, the right way, I would say. And they just want it the quick and easy way. So that's why they choose these shortcuts, and then they cry when the consequences to their actions come due. Because remember, every single action that you take in this world has a consequence, no matter what it is. Whether you take a shortcut or you take the long way, there's always going to be a consequence. And when you take this path with the shortcuts that a lot of these people are taking, unfortunately, like I said, you will lose a lot of what you are, a lot of respect, a lot of dignity. And no one is going to take you seriously in the quote unquote normal world, and even on the internet, really. So at the end of the day, it boils down to you as a person need to also hold yourself accountable. Of course, there's only so much guidance that your parents can do and give you, right? Because you as a person need to decide, do I want to go the long way and the hard way, or the, you know, shortcut and the easy way? But I will lose a lot of what I can never gain back if I go that way.
What a perfect cherry on top to this segment. I mean, very well said, Silent.
I got
For
a
my
question,
rapping,
Alex.
what's that?
Real quick for everyone. I got a question for you guys. So, would you, if just hypothetical, if your daughter 19 is about to go in this field, what dad would you be? The one that makes sure she's protected, or the one that's like, you better not come back to the house on Thanksgiving?
Okay, brother, 19. How's she buying that phone? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the same way I got my phone, which is in needing of my parents' assistance. If there's a world where something with my assistance is aiding you to, sharing your peaches to the rest of the world, you don't have the phone.
Okay.
Sharing your peaches.
I just want to know, because either way she's gonna do it. So are you gonna be the one like the family's cut off to you, or are you gonna be like, I'm gonna guide you?
Bad like Adrian Peterson. I'm okay with that.
I think honestly, it is my duty as a father. If I have daughters, it is my, it is. I think as a father, it is my duty to instill enough confidence in my girls or in my girl to the point to where she does not need to seek validations off of strangers on the internet. And if I fail to do that, then it is my fault as a father. I have not raised my girls right. If she gets to that
the
point,
right answer
right
every time.
If she gets to that point where she's 19 and she's considering OF, then I as a father have failed.
No, but you may not have failed, and society just pressure her to mold, like, because you know what I mean, like eventually
that's what I mean, and because it is my duty as a father to make sure that those societal pressures don't cave her and make her take that shortcut, right? I have to guide her as a father by building up her character and her confidence so that she's so confident in herself that she does not seek validations of others off the internet or
100% agree,
or off of the social pressure of others, right?
That was a perfect answer, Silent. So again,
I've thought about this a lot. That's why I've actually thought about this a lot, because I worry about this too, right? Like when I have daughters, it's like, as a father, what do I do so my daughter doesn't become a Bonnie Blue and
throw them away like a Chinese until you get a boy,
right? So it's
Jesus.
like that's why I always tell people, like, people are like, oh, just have kids. It's like, no, have kids when you know you're ready to have kids. Don't just have kids for the sake of having kids. I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, you're 30, you need to have kids. You should have kids already. No, I'll have kids when I'm ready. I'm a man, so I have the luxury of having kids whenever. I don't have a ticking biological time clock.
They do too, insofar as a crime isn't involved.
Right.
And choice is definitely involved on all sides.
100%. Right. And that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, whenever you do have the kid, then you better leave everything that you're doing, and you better make sure that kid for the next 18 years is being the best version of themselves every day. Otherwise, you have failed as a father.
So
if you don't want that, don't have unprotected sex with random women or with a girl that you love and you want to marry and don't have kids. Simple as.
That's a fair ask. Silent, like I said, you had the perfect cherry on the topic. Yeah. As far as my wrapping thoughts, I just have one little piece to add, and it's that there's so much money floating around. Like Ricky made the comment of, this is the quickest way to get it. You could have gone to college. You could have built something great. What's funny is we're talking about a group of people that are so rich that they didn't have to go to college. You're right. But they're also so rich that their charity, really just charity marketing scheme through charity, is giving away scholarships to subscribers.
Spring break, I want to find the guy with the smallest. And whoever has the smallest, I'm going to pay for your college tuition.
No, bro, college. I'm going back to college. Like, it was just some random lady just out of the blue said she was going to pay for my entire college tuition. Like, I don't know. I was thinking about, like, maybe like a veterinarian or a doctor or something. I don't know. Like, I'm just like I'm going back.
I just love the guy with the smallest. I'm going to send the brilliant marketing scheme. Bonnie Blue knows marketing. So also, not to take away, while they are sitting on piles of $72 million just for existing and being seen existing, but they are business brilliant engineers, and they're out here. I mean, that's a marketing scheme even Warren Buffett couldn't have come up with. Where's the man with the smallest? He's a fan. He's a fan. He's a fan. He's a fan. Kendrick doesn't even sing that. All right. So my final wrapping thought is you are not finding an ounce of empathy here at the Rethink Tank. So kudos to you as you get yours. But we live in a modern world where what you sign up for is so clear that victimhood could never be argued in a satisfactory way. Unless, like we said, we went through the series of different ways this is snowballed out of control and we have negative symptoms. The only negative symptom that truly gets sympathy and deserves outrage are the folks that are in this content without consent. At which point, shouldn't that even further alert you to the, evil dynamics that this market, involves itself with? So I feel bad, like Ricky said. Ricky created a very thought-provoking theoretical scenario for us to talk out. But the thread that kind of tied his whole thought together is living in a society that, without saying it, brainwashes, but either otherwise persuades and coerces the vulnerable or desperate into throwing themselves in this world where the symptoms are irreversible. Like this isn't, theft and you pay your time and it goes away. You've got a blemish on your record, but it really doesn't follow you. This is getting tattooed OnlyFans across your forehead. Everywhere you go, people are going to talk about it, know this looms over you. And that's why I think Ricky, when Silent kicked off the segment, he nailed it with the perfect metaphor. And this is like breaking a vase. It is, you broke the vase and now we're trying to glue the whole thing back together. And while you may be able to create a vase that holds flowers again, it's always going to have those scars. And the final cherry on my point is everybody said it. I think they've all said it perfectly, but the only way, you're scrolling on Instagram and you're seeing the cars, you're seeing the houses, the vacations, all the things you want in your life. And the only way to build to those highest heights is building something sustainable. And that something that's sustainable takes time. And so just like weight loss, we want to fix it all pill. Mental illness, we just want to fix it all pill. Well, guess what? When it comes to wealth and happiness and prosperity, there ain't just a fix it all pill. That being something as simple as getting naked for all the strangers to see. And again, we've also acknowledged in this segment that getting naked just isn't enough. In a pool where now every fish in the sea has an OnlyFans, Well, now you got to level it up. She did 100 guys. I'm doing 853. I'm bleeding out of all my orifices, and there's no crocodile tears to find. So with that being said, enjoy the Maserati. Your kid's going to hate you, and we all enjoyed the company. Will, wrapping thoughts?
Just going to quote Future real quick. It's an evil world we live in. That's it.
They belong to the streets.
See? Will, you're cultured. I'm proud of you.
You know what? I read the news.
Facts. Well, speaking of the news, we got a hot one for you.
Oh, I wonder who we're talking about.
LeBron, who runs a failing Ohio school, is to be given an honorary doctorate in public service by Ohio State. Noted book nerd and deep thinker LeBron James, who runs an Ohio 3rd through 8th grade school that made headlines for its failures in math, is set to receive an honorary doctorate degree in public service from The Ohio State University. Quote, born in Akron, Ohio, LeBron Raymore James Sr. is a professional basketball player with a dedication to community engagement and improving the lives of children and families through education, opportunities, and community resources, The Ohio State University Board of Trustees announced this week. Just as he's elevated the game of basketball, LeBron has redefined philanthropy to create a revolutionary model for community building in the hometown of Akron, Ohio. Oh, really? And how many of those LeBron I Promise kids, the school was founded in 2018, could get into the Ohio State based on, I don't know, where things are headed in his school? In the fall of 2023, LeBron's school made international headlines when it was revealed that not a single member of the 2023 8th grade class had passed the state's math test since the group was in 3rd grade. Not one. But we know that's because math is racist. That same year, the school's third grade principal, their third principal in 6 years left after she popped a boy in the mouth after he yelled, "Someone in the urinal," as he was exiting a bathroom to get into the lunch line. Yep. According to the latest U.S. News and World Report rankings, just 5% of students in the school are proficient in math and 6% are proficient in reading. For comparison, in Ohio in general, 57% of students tested at or above proficient in reading and 51% tested at or above proficient in math. On its state grade card, LeBron's school gets 1 star in achievement, 1 star in early literacy, and has an absenteeism rate of 38%. Yet LeBron gets a Lifetime Achievement Award from Ohio State. Makes sense, right? Quote, "I knew I always wanted to give back to my community," James told Ohio State's class back in February. "We took a deep dive into what we actually needed to do to create social change, being around families, being around the kids, listening to our community. And they let us know and gave us this makes no sense, and gave us the spearhead on what's needed. It was our job to listen, implement, and apply things that were needed to create social change." Let's never forget how LeBron, who is getting an honorary doctorate in public service, treated white police officer Nicholas Reardon back in 2021. Do you remember the incident during the Elmer Floyd era? Columbus police officer Nicholas Reardon was targeted by LeBron in a tweet stating, "You're next," which was a nod towards Derek Chauvin going to jail for his interaction with Elmer Floyd. The only problem from LeBron is that Reardon shot a 16-year-old Micaiah Bryant to save the life of a girl who was being attacked with a knife by Bryant. Shayanta Craig, who was being attacked, later announced that she was pregnant at the time of the attack and curled into a ball as much as possible to protect her stomach from Bryant's knife. Given a chance to correct the record, this is how LeBron handled the situation. He doubled down and turned Bryant into a say her name hero. The cop saves a pregnant woman of African descent life by taking out the attacker, and LeBron's answer is to praise the woman who was about to ram a knife into the pregnant woman. This is what the Ohio State is about to honor for public service. The guy who refused to support the cop. Let that sink in. And so with all that being said, I bring it all the way back to the beautiful school that's getting him such great attention. It's a great effort done by everyone but LeBron. But LeBron gets to sign his name on it. When we talk about the LeBron's I Promise School, so much of it, only a fraction of it, is financially backed by the LeBron James Foundation. Not LeBron James himself, a foundation in his name. So that means he created a foundation where he gets to go to Dwayne Wade and all his other buddies and cronies worth millions of dollars and suggest to them that they donate to this foundation. And then they get a tax write-off. Yo, Wade, you know that contract that you're about to get for $20 million? What's interesting is the government is going to take $4 million. But if you give me $2 million, you get to keep $2 more million that they can't tax from you. It's a win-win. I get $2 million of free money that I get to put in charitable spots and put my name on it, and all my homies get to have a tax write-off and keep and pocket more cash. And what's interesting is when you break down the LeBron James Foundation, he has not put in the significant portion. That being said, then everybody gets excited. Every kid that graduates, I mean, you got to get through math, and they're not doing that. Not one. But if you get through the math and you get through the I Promise School, you get to go to Akron University for free. That's a great school. You know, Jim Tressel, coach there. I mean, fantastic place. However, that is another donation being done by the University of Akron. So they get to have that tax write-off. They're doing the charitable thing to give back to their community. LeBron just gets to sign his name on it. So that all being said, he gets to sit back with his high school degree, never once stepping foot in higher education, and gets to proclaim a doctorate from quite a prestigious school. Now, granted, nobody's giving him a gig off of this. He's not going to be going to any, interviews, putting that on his resume. But it goes to say another instance, similar to the segment before this, how we as a society tend to reward the buffoons because we live in a society of entertainers, and we aren't striving for much better than that. I'm sure I will be counterbalanced with some disagreement. So for that, I'm excited to open the floor. Ricky, what are your thoughts? And then I'll bring in Silent.
There's a lot of niggas with money that ain't even trying to help other niggas.
Oh my God.
And LeBron,
Facts.
he has the platform, he has the name, he has the recognition. At least he's making an effort. There's people out here really with money ain't making an effort. Even if you're helping your homie with the tax benefits, bro. If I hate doing this.
I think
I don't like the race thing.
I think in a theoretical sense, you have a point. But I gotta ask, can you give me one person who is upper echelon, tiptoeing billionaire status, like LeBron, that doesn't give back? Because here's the problem, is they go as shallow as they can with charity, because for them, it really isn't charity. It's maximizing their profit in a tax realm. So I don't think my argument back to you is I don't think we can, in a real world, point to someone of his status that isn't, I mean, he's getting all the media accolades. To say that like Bill Maher isn't also doing that to protect his bag, or, P. Diddy. I'm sure we could find a world where P. Diddy was also giving back to the world.
P. Diddy had a school in New York, and that school shut down. Like,
what's
but
going
it was
on
a
in the
charity
Akron
school. It was like,
I'm curious. We've all seen LeBron in a maid costume. For Diddy. That was for
Diddy. That's why I posted that gif of LeBron dancing today, because it looked a little today. But all right. The example I can give is Dr. Umar Johnson. I don't know if you know who he is. He's all about black excellence and black this. This man was supposed to open up Marcus Garvey School since 2012. He got all the funding. He has so much funding, and there's still no school. Like,
all right.
And he has the platform. He has the status, but there's no result. He's just
That's
talking.
a good example to counterbalance with. Because
he's literally just talking.
A more conservative, like he's catching the conservative audience's attention more, and yet he isn't necessarily putting the money where his mouth is. That's a great example.
And he's all about black excellence. He don't believe in interracial dating, interracial marriage, no snow bunny never.
Oh my God. You know what the
Dr. Umar is a character. But LeBron, look, I ain't saying LeBron is perfect. I don't like when he gets on like the social warrior high horse and do all, because he's not informed or he doesn't follow up if he's wrong. And it just rubs the wrong way to me. Because it's not hard to correct yourself if you're wrong, especially with such a big platform that you have.
Well, and especially at such a sensitive time, how do you go back on? Once you make that, you pull the trigger. It's like, no.
But I think he would have done more good if he'd have went back on and corrected himself.
He's just a bit.
Didn't.
LeBron's a bit reactionary.
But like Ricky said, this is like the CNN dynamic. It's like you guys don't realize the irreparable damage you do when you get caught and then don't. Like Ricky, I'd be a fool not to go, you know what? I flipped it to you. Can you come up with one example? You came up with a great one. I would lose credibility if I either lacked acknowledgement of that point, scooted past it, or ignored it. Why? Because then you're not trying to grow. You're proving to us you have no goal of truth. You are seeking some sort of action, some result. And when it didn't go your way, screw the audience. I'll catch you on the next one.
And the other person that I seen got a doctorate, honorary doctorate from South Carolina College, went to jail for selling crack. One of the biggest Raider personalities, Charlemagne the God. No one said nothing.
Oh, Charlemagne.
If Ohio State want to put their name and say, LeBron, here you go. We appreciate for your effort. Your school's not perfect, but at least you made the effort. You went out, you did the fundraising, you got all the other capitals to come in. Hey, come help me out. You know, I put a little 10, y'all put 50. He did it. He executed. It's not going perfect, but he did it.
That's a fair point. And I want to ask the internet, how much does LeBron James donate to Ohio State? And it's got to be significant. It's not public, but he is. So, you know, even without declaring the number, a donation from LeBron James is going to be significant. So to pretend this isn't something that he hadn't paid for. But again, it's a sour sweet dynamic because you call yourself Mr. Cleveland before you spit in our face and go to South Beach while wearing Cowboys gear or, you know, while rooting for the Yankees, but you're the Cleveland guy. And it's just it feels like a sham. People don't, feel comfortable when you're the Ohio State guy. Ohio State's my place. If I ever went to college, I would have gone to Ohio State. Consider me an honorary Ohio State student. And if my kid were to ever go to college, he'd go to the Ohio State University. Then because of your ass and your ass alone, they create a rule where all kids have to go to college before they can go to the league. And your kid doesn't go to the Ohio State University. It's like, to me, it feels like living in Cleveland and or Ohio feels like a Stockholm Syndrome victim where like we're trapped in the basement. We continue to get punched in the face, but every time he comes down the steps and comes and joins us in the basement, we're like, he's back. Oh my God, and he loves me. I know he does. It's just like, at what point does Cleveland have pride in themselves?
Okay, he is Mr. Cleveland. Doesn't mean he can't be a Yankee fan or a Cowboys fan.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Oh, come on. He's not a Look, if he grew up in a family that's Cowboys fan, He's not going to change because he come pro.
Don't even play that card. We know his family.
I'm just
There
saying,
was no
I'm just giving
Cowboys fans.
I don't know his uncles.
Mom was not sober to know who to root for, and Daddy was Daddy Don.
So maybe he thought his dad was a Cowboy player. You know, back in the day, you know, your parents used to be like,
Simple mistake happens to the best of us. I think I make that mistake sometimes too. I don't know.
Listen, LeBron been Ohio State since he's been out. He's been donating. He's been sponsoring the sports teams. I fuck with it.
I can feel that. You make a strong point. Silent, do you have any thoughts on King James?
I think King James just needs to talk less and do more. That's really what it boils down to. At the end of the day,
you're not allowed to say that. Darn it.
At the end of the day, all LeBron has to do is make a couple phone calls, and he can fix that school up. We know he could do that. He's clearly just not done it, right? Because
which is even more offensive.
You can donate all the money you want. You could like say you're gonna do this and say you're gonna do that, but if you're not actually on the phone writing that school, making sure the kids are getting the literacy that they need, making sure that the kids getting what they need, hiring the right people, making the right decisions, and we all know LeBron is capable of doing that, right? Like that's cool. He can clean that school up within like a semester if he wanted to, but clearly he's just so busy with other ventures that this is kind of like an afterthought.
Like what?
And he's just saying
basketball?
Things like maybe basketball, I think. I don't know. I mean,
bro can't even.
At the same time, though,
Jokic.
We all know King James is rich enough to delegate and hire people to do it all for him. But he's clearly not chosen to do that. So now he looks like a fool. And
it looks like money laundering in a tax
I hate to
realm.
say it. Exactly. I hate
You
to
know
say
what it looks like
now,
to me?
Now it's all
These kids' parents ain't letting them go to school and they ain't being on the kids' ass. Because LeBron ain't going to be at a kid's house.
At home.
I mean,
That's
it starts
the
there. You're
argument.
right, Ricky. Facts. Yeah, facts. That's true. That's true.
And what do you expect? Mr. James to go there and spank all of their booties? No, he can't do all the work.
Exactly.
I agree, Ricky. But I also love that we're going to live in a world and pretend this guy is the book nerd.
Sharon, you want to follow up? Yeah. So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Headlie. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway?
The face.
I kind of just started a couple days ago, but I've read and a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading this from start to finish. But just a very smart man. Very smart man. And basically,
Popcorn LeBron.
His words in the 60s and what was going on is actually what's going on today still. Him understanding the
do better than that, LeBron. Come on, bro.
The Negro can be. He used that word a lot. How powerful we are. But we have to unite, and we have to be together. We have to stand strong, because there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be, things that's going to be thrown at us where they try to weaken us. They try to make us feel like we're not kings and queens. And it's going to come from all, different races and different shapes and sizes and things of that nature. Just a very powerful-minded gentleman. And it's unbelievable to kind of read something that's coming directly from him.
He's fidgeting that book like.
Just hate.
He's hoping he learns it through osmosis.
Is that not how it works? I just love that, this is our icon of. And I think the bigger point, I like Ricky kind of capping it at the end with like the social warrior aspect. I mean, Silent, that's the theme of your whole point. Producer, right, we all shut up again.
And honestly, like all he had to say was, "Yeah, no, I haven't gotten into the book yet. Like I haven't read it yet." That's it. Like I'm just doing it to look cool, Or he could have just simply said like, "Hey, yeah, no, I just got it today. I haven't read it yet." Instead of just waffling and going in circles and things, it's like, come on, bro, you're so obvious. It's so clear you have not read the book. Come on, man. Because anybody that actually has read that book, by the way, like come on, dude. He would have had way more to say than what he said if he actually had read that book.
We let the whole clip roll because it shows just how much he rambles. And it's just like,
Right.
just filler words, filling up the air.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like your point. You should have just been honest. But the truth is,
It's okay, dude. You
holding
can just
that
say it.
book to begin with, period, like this thing being in your hand at this press conference is alluding to the fact that you are in it. So if you concede on the upfront, like, oh, well, honestly, I just started it. Well, then you're not allowed to be holding it, right? It's like your act of having it to begin with is implying that you've already been involved in it, or you're in
Yes.
it. Like
Yes.
oh my God. Oh, silly. Did you catch me in the thick of it? In the thick of a Malcolm X deep reader? It's
Right.
like, either you're admitting I haven't opened it, ergo, this is just a prop in my hand. And all that is showing is you're the North Korea of celebrities, as we always knew you are. Everything is promulgated, fake. You're the big, beautiful Kardashian family, but behind the curtain is one heck of a mess. And,
Right.
you know, it's just everything to him is a show because not much of it can be real. What is there to show us? Because then it comes back to, we made some yucks about it, but it's a very real point. You can't be the public figure that fights society going, I may make the money of a Roman Colosseum gladiator, but how dare you tell me to just stick to the Colosseum? It's like, no, dude. You have more money than we could ever count because you are our society's beer. You are our distraction. You are the candy for our, mental aid for society. You're a society aid, and you think you deserve the wealth and value of kings. So when they look at you and say, stay out of the political realm, you take offense. What are you talking about? I'm rubbing shoulders with the folks of this political realm. And yet your only value is a drive into the hoop that no one else could stop. So I don't know. It's an acknowledgement that I don't think these guys are willing or ready to make either.
I think LeBron thinks he wants to be the next Kareem.
What do you mean?
Like Kareem, he's a very philosophical individual. I mean, during his career, like he did his whole name change to Islam, was kind of like that, like philanthropist, while also being the best at his field as a basketball player. And LeBron, I don't know what really instilled it in him to like make that change. I don't think he should have. I think he should have stuck more to the Jordan route and just balled out, just stuck the ball. I understand everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm a guy with a microphone in front of me giving my opinion, but I think it would have been a little bit easier on him if he just kind of did that.
Well, I like you drawing upon Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because here's a gentleman that not only was a significant figure in the sport, same sport as LeBron, but also brought about significant civil change and was a leader in the civil rights movement. In fact, still alive today, continues to get praise for that. A guy that played at the same era as Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan had a bigger platform, a bigger reach, and like you said, he opted to just ball. Maybe it's because he recognized that some of his ideas weren't worth praise or would get the praise. And so sometimes if that's not something you're willing to wrestle with, you don't enter that arena. What's interesting about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there's some more modern civil rights comments that I don't necessarily agree with. But en masse, I pretty much agree with everything the guy's saying, especially with the work that he did at the time we're talking about. So what kind of benefits the movement is when the people you're trying to get to buy your jersey also kind of agree with what you're saying. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't saying, go kill the white cop that shot the black girl stabbing the pregnant black girl. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was just like, please just let me use the same drinking fountain. I think we should all be at the same schools. I think we should allow to be intermarried and be in businesses. Like all the basic human things. Whereas it seems like, so now you've opened this door. You've opened the door to, you want to enter the realm of ideas? Well, don't act like a Sally and tuck your tail between your legs. Your ideas are now open season. and we get to attack them. And honestly, if you're standing on a strong leg to lean on, then guess what? You can take criticism and be impervious to it, because the closer you are to truth, the stronger your position is. Unfortunately for you, you're really fueled by anger, and you're a villain. I have no other world to look at you than you are to your core a villain. And so when you open your mouth, the world hates you. And you're like, well, the world hates me because I'm black. Every time I open my mouth, they all hate me. And it's like, did you ever once hear what they're saying and maybe reflect on the bullshit coming out of your mouth? Because that's quite literally what we're criticizing. So it's just an interesting dynamic. And I kind of like you raising Kareem because it only emphasizes how unique this scenario is. And again, we get to kick back with some yucks when the dude just like flops around a book and, does a tax laundering scheme where kids can't even read or get through math or get to college, but we got free college for them. It's just so bizarre.
Well, that's the disappointing thing about the I Promise School. Cause like, I remember when it started off, it was like essentially in the silent, you don't know this school, Ricky, you probably do, like Glenville, like in Cleveland. And it's like a very predominant African-American school in the Cleveland area, known for not just its athletics, but it's like education as well. Like a lot of those kids end up going to like very good schools, like on education. And it's like, I think that's what the idea of the I Promise School was originally, but it clearly, and again, Glenville is a high school. So this would be like the I Promise School would be the school to like lead into schools like that. Like for instance, like in Akron, they go to like St. Vincent, St. Mary, like another great school, like in Akron, where LeBron went to school, go to athletics, go to academics, so it is kind of a shame that it is kind of going down this route that it currently is on, because not to make a pun, but the I Promise School, like there was promise there, I think originally, but like it could have all been a kind of a scam or to begin with.
I like that. Now, before we get into wrapping thoughts, you kind of triggered a thought in me, and I want to flip it to the Pickle Gallery, because one of the things that, as I'm kind of wrestling Will's comment there, it made me acknowledge that we do have a bit of a polarization in the Pickle Gallery between Ricky and Silent. They raise two combative comments. They were separate from each other, but are in direct contrast with each other. And Ricky made the acknowledgement that, how much can LeBron do? A lot of this is at home.
Mm-hmm.
But then Silent makes the point of like, this dude's got so much power, so much money, it's a phone call away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is it? Because one of the things we talk about all the time on the Rethink Tank is that, a lot of these unfair social dynamics that we opine over, more often than not, are a direct result of your at home. And it's not that I think there's a privilege of color more than I think there's a privilege of homestead. The stronger your homestead is, the more of a privilege you have on the world around you, bar none. And that can be colorblind. And so if something I want to proclaim all the time is the strength of your home really builds the strength of you, that's your privilege. That kind of goes in line with what Ricky said, which is, if we're talking about a community that has disastrous homesteads, then this is a natural symptom. And no matter how much money you throw at the school, you're never going to fix it unless you fix the homesteads. Well, then that kind of combats Silent's point, which also resonated with me, and I believe a lot of the audience, which is, this guy's got so much influence. We're talking about billionaire status. He bragged when he was 19, getting millions and millions of dollars, that he got financial advice from the Boost Mobile dude, whatever his name is. And, that's his shtick, is like, outside of the game, I'm going to be this, money mogul. And he kind of is. He's not that pretty at it. Like, he's not like, someone you'd build a class over, like, this is a portfolio man, you want to do it like LeBron, but he's definitely not done bad at it. So I agree with you. He's got the influence, he's got the power that innately we would, in a totally separate conversation, be like, yeah, he could fix that overnight. But I don't know, can he? Because if it's at home, like Ricky said, then that isn't just a phone call away. But if it is something that like, well, just fix the community, and then it, like Jordan Peterson says, clean your room, and then it makes you want to be somebody who's perfect, that, deserves to be living in a perfect room. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe build a perfect society, and the members try to live up to that standard, or it pushes out the ones that can't live to the standard because it's attracting the ones that do live to that standard. I flip it to you guys because it's a complicated thing to kind of parse apart.
There's only so much anybody can do. If you, especially like helping someone, they will willing to have to want to help themselves as well. And when it comes to kids, you said it, home has to be there. I'm pretty sure I Promise School has tutors because they have all the transportation, have all the meals from the, like they have all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's not the school delivering, but it's like there's a lack between the home and the school.
Right.
So LeBron is always gonna be my dog, man. I don't care. He speaks too much on social shit. I don't like it. I ain't telling him to shut up and dribble. But take a step back. What Will said earlier, he's just quick to respond. Just take a step back, hindsight, and then comment. But he's 40 fucking years old. Who am I? He ain't gonna listen to me.
So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I still truly do believe that the fix to LeBron's school is a few phone calls away. Maybe not one, maybe a few, but at the
So what would that look like, you think? I'm just curious.
At the end of the day, right? The reason why a lot of the schools probably don't get the results that they want, it's because they're not fostering, like we said, the environment, because that environment is not being fostered at home. But that does not mean we can't create a better environment in the school than we can in the house, right? So that it becomes a safe haven for a lot of these kids that come from a bad environment. So it becomes more of an incentive for them to go to school and work hard and get their good grades and get the scholarships and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, So I still think that LeBron really should do that. Will he do that? I don't know. Only time will tell, right? But at the same time, too, like what Will said, he's obviously doing a lot of like virtue signaling and a lot of like, oh, look at me, I'm a philosopher. I'm trying to be this person. I'm trying to show you that I'm that person. But then the actions are not matching the words. So it's kind of like making him look bad at this point a lot, right? And it's been happening over and over. Like you said, this is not like the first time this has happened. This has occurred a lot before. And I think because of that, LeBron needs to just, if he actually wants to say the words and like say that he's this person or that person or the philosopher or the philanthropist or whatever, he needs to kind of like make the actions match the words more often, really, right? Otherwise, what's the point of saying it? Because we all know he could do it, but you got to say it and then you got to do it, right? So that's the way I see it. I just think he could say it, obviously. There's no point in saying it, but then not doing it, because otherwise it's just going to make you look bad.
So let me just for the sake of political theory here, I'd like to push back on just one of the points you made. So, Ricky made a comment, and I was going to have it be a part of my wrapping thought. But in the theory where the institution is there, because, listen, my friends will be the first to tell you, I will be one of the last people to jump to LeBron James's defense. But in one of these very rare occurrences, timestamp this, it's happening. But in LeBron's defense, I really do feel comfortable making the argument that the institution is there as much as it really can. Like, I guess there's so many factors involved that like you can't really eliminate every mitigating factor, and you can just slowly work on each one and develop better and better. Because like Ricky said, the institution's there, but the institution isn't Brecksville. It surely isn't Hathaway Brown or these private schools. You may have the institution where children in struggling communities are getting free transportation, they're getting free breakfasts and lunches, free tutor sessions, but like at a certain degree, you're still at an inner city school in Akron, and the young striving educator fresh out of college is going to try to go to Hathaway Brown or St. Ignatius before they go to the I Promise school, unless they have some intimate relationship with it. I grew up in Akron. I'm a diehard like Ricky. I love LeBron. Like whatever it might be, unless there's that like relationship that draws you to it, majority of people are going to strive for the highest tier of education. So I'm giving you a nuanced point because the argument I want to make for LeBron is that I do believe the institution is there as much as it really can be there. But then the institution can always get better. You can have better curriculum. You could have better educators. You could have better
That's what
tutors.
I'm getting at,
You could
right?
have better after school programs. And maybe in that aspect, you're right. But like an interesting dynamic on a community that goes unnamed, I have no relationship with, under the guise of nothing in my life, Community X has similar situation as Akron, low income, dangerous communities. Kids keep getting into trouble. Part of the problem is there's like high eviction in this area. So teachers are knowing that I'm only going to have this kid for 3 months. And then in 3 months, you know, that's because that's how long it takes to evict someone. You pay the first month's rent, then you miss it. Then you've got your 3-day notice. And then the eviction trial takes like 2 months. And then by the time you're out, it's like a 3-month cycle. So like these teachers know a vast majority of their classroom are being recycled every 3 months. And, you know, it's an at-home problem like we're talking about. It's a systemic, social, professional problem. Like, you know, slinging the dope isn't truly a profession. It's bringing you untaxed cash that's putting food on the table today. But like you said, building something sustainable takes time and it ain't going to be there. But that's the market this whole community is built off of. And what's funny is this community had a basketball court and the basketball court had to be ripped out. Even though that's the one social pastime a lot of the youth shared, this is the one thing that binds us. This is our thing. They pulled it away because it was severe crime. Kids from other neighboring cities were coming in, and this was the hangout where a lot of the crime developed. Took 7 years of political amnesia for the new dope mayor to come in and go, you know what? We don't have any money. We're dirt poor. But for the political optics, you're not going to see how much further in debt this is going to put us. But you know, I'm seeing a lot of these kids, they're dangerous on the streets and they've got nothing to keep them entertained and pass the time away. I'm going to spend a couple $1 million and put a basketball court. Why do we even lose this thing? And now we're right back where we began. Now we've got the epicenter of crime right back in this community. It's like, unless you're fixing the community itself with the basketball court, without the basketball court, the community is still crime-ridden and not the place people want to live. Okay, well, then I sit back and I ask you, how much more of an academic institution can LeBron make before it's not anything the institution can do? It's kind of like you get out of it as much as you give it. The more the community favors and believes in that institution, the more it will thrive. It's like giving a flower water and sun. But if you're putting it in the Chernobyl of soil and it's getting no sun, no water, nothing's nourishing it, like how can you expect to get new educators? I mean this because I want to learn and grow here at the Rethink Tank. And we really don't get to have like challenging thought experiments enough. And so I'm asking you, as much as I'm like literally asking myself, I'm thinking, it's like, what other phone calls can you make? We sit here in a fantastical theoretical world thinking all the resources, that dude can make a phone call and have an airplane appear and fly his ass somewhere. But he also, how much can he make happen on a phone call in terms of rejuvenating, like I said, Chernobyl soil, a toxic community?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, LeBron can actually, you know, make the phone calls and put the right things in position, and he can obviously make the school the best it can be. But I agree with you. The other half of it is that the kids need to take responsibility and accountability of showing up, working hard, you know, being on time, coming to class, not disrupting. making sure they get their education, right? Because there's only so much LeBron can do, right? Now, of course, can he make it easier for those kids? Yeah, I believe so. I believe he can. I believe he can pour more money into the resources, more money into the school to, like we said earlier, like get the best of the best, so that when the best of the best is in that school, then they're more likely to show up. But you're right in the sense that, yes, the other half of the equation here is the kids got to put in the work too, right? Like LeBron is not going to smack them on, smack them on their behinds and say, come on, kids, let's go to class. He can only do so much, to the point to where there's only so many resources and time he can obviously pour into it. Now, like I said, if he wanted to, he could pour more. Of course, he's a billionaire. Or he could delegate someone to pour more and make sure that the kids are in school every day, or give some sort of incentive. Like, there's a lot of things that he can do to make it better, for sure. But of course, the other half of it is the kids got to show up, right? Because if the kids don't show up, then the school is not there, right? And it's not a school. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to a two-way street of LeBron gives us the cool teachers and the good resources and the good school. We're going to show up and work hard every day and make sure that we graduate, get our scholarships, and be on our way to build a career that lasts lifelong, like you said, where we're not like messing around, slinging drugs and gang activity and staying away from all of that. Instead, we're going to go to LeBron's school because we love LeBron. Like you said, usually most people are from the area, or they have an incentive, or they just love LeBron, and that's the reason why they want to end up going to the school.
No, you're right. And, we got Dougie Fresh in the comments. Good old Doug dropping it here. LeBron is too lazy to put in the work. He wanted the easy public image of building it and not running it. Oh, Ricky's taking offense. Dougie's showing up and he's slinging it. All right. Let me
How
ask,
much do y'all want one man to do?
Ricky,
Bruh,
can I counter
there's
that point?
after school programs, there's all this stuff he incentivized for them to go
he
to
just
school.
wrote a check. And in fact, a foundation his homies donate to wrote a check. He didn't.
Even if he put himself in a situation for it to formulate. There's people out here that's not even going to make the effort.
Pass.
And we're not even talking about the success stories. There's kids that went on to Akron. You know what I mean? It's not a complete failure.
Wait.
Well, they went on the high school.
You're right. However, the first class that has gone 3rd through 8th grade will not be. So students that had the old public academic system and only was in LeBron's sham for 2, 3, maybe 4 years at the most, they had a few people going to college. LeBron's full 3rd through 8th, none of them are. I don't know. I just had to season it with that. All right. That being said, Silent, I wanted to ask you, I appreciate the thought experiment. I think we did kind of hone in on an answer. Do you have any other wrapping thoughts in regards to King James or?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like I said, there has to be a collaborative effort from the community and obviously from King James himself, because obviously this is a two-way street, as we discussed too. Like, you brought up really good points, because James can only do so much, right? At the end of the day, he could build a school and he could make it really attractive to want to come and incentivize the kids with scholarships and give them, good rewards for their hard work. But then the kids still have to show up, right? That's the other equation of that's the other half of the equation here. And at the end of the day, less virtue signaling, I say, and more putting money where your mouth is and more action. That's really what it boils down to. That's the way I see it.
I like that. Ricky, I wanted to see I want to give you at least a chance, as we kind of threw a whole lot out. Did you have any other wrapping thoughts, closing it out?
There's a lot of people out here not even putting an effort for their own community. So, and him just doing it with his name and platform, no matter where it came from, he did it. It may not be the best, but hopefully it gets better in time.
That's fair. I think we raised some strong points. I agree with Ricky, where I think if it's okay to be inflammatory as long as you're honest. And LeBron, people are going to scream, not everybody, but people are going to scream for you to just shut up and dribble forever, as long as you aren't honest. It's one thing to be, have a cruel opinion, but to also shadow that with ignorance and protecting that ignorance from true growth, because you I don't know, maybe view it as weakness or anything. That's what's going to cause people to degrade their opinion of your thoughts, your voice. At the same time, we live in a celebrity world where we obsess over the fandom. And so you also will always have that platform, no matter how stupid your ideas are, no matter how dangerous some of your comments may be. There will be sheep that will never be able to see anything other than next year's rendition of the LeBron James shoes or whatever the case may be. There were people that went and saw your Space Jam. I don't know any of them, but there are people that did it. And it's because there's blind fandom. And that goes for anybody. That's going to be people who are blind fans of Kanye, blind fans of Brittany Griner. I mean, it really doesn't matter who we're talking about. They got fans. But at the same time, this kind of mirrors. Will, I got to tell you, if I could put myself in Joe Rogan's shoes for one interview, I would love to set Douglas Murray up for the worst social backlash ever. And as he got all British pretentious by going, "You must be an expert. Have you been there?" I'd be like, all right, if only experts can talk on things, then are you willing to say LeBron James should shut up and dribble? Oh, wouldn't it be awesome to just socially tee him up for cancellation? That would have been glorious. But I think Ricky raised a strong point, which is the institution's there. So how much more can you call upon a single man to do something? You know, what's funny is if there were other Ohio, I guess, how would I describe them? Successful folks that reach the highest of heights. If there were people within the same echelon as LeBron that had anywhere near as much drive to either tax launder or even just do good for their community, there would be an accumulation of giving back. It really doesn't benefit when LeBron's the only dude from Northeast Ohio even mildly doing something, even when that something's unsuccessful. That also should be shadowed, though, with a very real reflection, and that's of the people we're talking about. These are the people that are going to grow up to be victims and blame you and require you to feed their starving mouth. As the numbers show, we're talking about a school with 38% absenteeism. That's like you're only getting 60% of the school to show up. And then we're like, nah, because only 5% of them know math, we shouldn't teach it anymore. It's racist. It's like, no, nobody's playing that game anymore. You guys got a problem. And at some point, you guys got to fix it. And you know what? I appreciate Ricky's point, because it's don't hate on the one guy trying to fix it. If other people were out here trying to fix it, we'd probably have a greater impact. But then also, if your efforts of trying to fix it are not truly balanced, again, with honesty, you need to be looking at your community that you're trying to fix and call it for how you see it. If it is because of failing homes, if it is because of all these other mitigating factors impacting the strong institution you've implicated, then start calling that out. And not, I don't know, the white cop that saved a black victim from a black aggressor. What are we doing here? And I think that's our bigger problem, is like, those are the things that he should be held accountable more than, well, he tried to do something charitable and it didn't really pan out. Will, let me get your rapping thoughts on the whole thing.
I just think LeBron is an individual, a very wealthy individual, has an identity crisis. I think he wants to be Kareem. I think he wants to be Michael Jordan. And I think he, unfortunately, has had a hard time defining his own self as LeBron James. And I think he's put his foot in a lot of different things. and hasn't really completely done it to the fullest potential. Now, in terms of the school, I don't know what else much he can do to fix it. Like, it's not like he's going to go and teach the classes, but I think LeBron, I don't know. There's just like an insecurity thing there. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but
I know what it is. It's dude only has a high school degree. He's definitely in a tier of societal people where he doesn't fit in.
Mhm.
You're the one, like, imagine being the scarecrow. All you want is a brain, and you're literally in a room of Albert Einsteins. Like, you definitely are going to have to overcompensate when you don't have a brain. Ricky's got
That's why Shaq got his MBA, right?
Probably.
Shout out to Shaq.
Yeah, LeBron didn't finish. LeBron finished high school. He didn't go to college, but he put a lot of people, a lot of his friends in those positions, went to college, and he surrounded himself with them to make himself a billionaire right now. So it's like, yeah, he didn't go to fucking fucking college.
Contract with Nike isn't making a whole bunch of strategic moves. It's I'm an athlete, and that athleticism bought me one major billion-dollar contract.
But bro, there's a lot of freaking athletes that blows it and don't even do half of it. It's in a lot of scandals.
OnlyFans chicks, that's like, all I got to do is put 8% in a portfolio, and I'm a quadrillionaire. It just continues to snowball. It takes money to make money, and once you catch a tier of, I don't know, one contract worth $1 billion, you would meet astounding heights if you couldn't.
But he could have failed before he got to that billionaire contract. He got what, 90 million when he had come out of high school. He could have did a bunch of shit. He kept his head on his shoulders.
But again, Ricky,
Ricky,
you got the contract for being a great, fantastic basketball player. And it's like I said, why I think like the identity crisis, I wouldn't say from his lack of education. I'd say he looked at the greats before him, like Kareem and Michael, and wanted to embody all of them in himself. I'm LeBron, but I'm a piece of all of them. And I think, unfortunately, along the way, he lost an identity of himself as just be LeBron, be you. You can't do everything, and that's okay because none of us can. He's tried in a bunch of other ways, like with the I Promise School, and I think it was a good idea, and I think there is still promise there. It's just it hasn't panned out, unfortunately. But it's like when I see him with the books, and it's like, I don't think you've read the books or whatever. It's like, and that's fine. Like I bought a bunch of books that I haven't even gotten to, but it's like one of those things. It's like I see him, he wants to be Kareem, he wants to be Michael, and it's like, no, dude, just be LeBron. Kobe wasn't trying to be anybody else. He just wanted to be a basketball player. And he was a philanthropist in his own right, doing his own things like that too. So that's why I've always felt like there's just like this minor insecurity thing with LeBron. And I don't know why. And so I'm not one here to like look at him and say like, oh, you're insecure. Because again, it's LeBron James, billionaire, Hall of Fame, one of the greatest of all time. But it's something that is very noticed too when he's posting about all these things online, coming from a very not irrational, but like he's very like impulsive when he posts and stuff. And then
one-sided most of the time.
Right. Yeah. So, that's kind of like my point on it, where it's like, I have no issue with him making the school. Like, I think it's great giving back to the community. I wish he did it more, or especially around here. I think it'd be great too, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I think he's tried to be a lot of these other greats when it's like, no, just be you, man. Like that's what made you the $1 billion Nike contract guy.
And I agree with that. Like, especially the Kareem aspect. I agree with that. But Alex keep hampering like, yeah, high school degree. Yeah, there's a lot of people that with just a high school degree that didn't do shit or did get some shit and fucking squandered it.
So
you gotta give props where props is due somewhat.
I can imagine that you're not familiar with the Douglas Murray reference. And so to further explain why I made that, is because I'm in full agreement with your position. So there's this guest that was on Joe Rogan's podcast that did a debate, and he spent the entire debate not once talking about the actual facts. And he spent the first hour degrading Joe Rogan for the guests that he has. It's like very interesting approach to debating. Dave Smith, this other guy on the show, is attacking Joe Rogan for the guests he has on his show, then proceeds to spend the next hour and a half never once addressing all the points Dave Smith makes. all he does is spend an hour and a half professing expertism and this authority that you must be an expert. Have you been there? You must leave it to the experts. And so here's this pretentious prick that spends literally 3 hours saying how great he is because he has all these academic accolades that makes him an expert. But and this guy is a buffoon. You brought me to debate a comedian, and yet you're the expert, and you couldn't refute a single point by that retarded comedian. And so I sit back and society needs to pick one of two lanes, Ricky, and my lane very much subscribes to the point that you just made, which is there is a world where experience and just life education, living it through action, that's sometimes more of an education than the bookworm that has isolated themselves in a dorm. There was a kid, one of the most brilliant kids I went to law school with. He then graduated law school and is like, pandemic hit. These law firms really aren't hiring. You know what? I think I'm just going to go back to school. I think I'm going to be a career student. You'd be amazed how much of the people in higher education, the culture is a career student. They're not ready to become a professional. They're not ready to assimilate to the life, or they just don't know what they want to do. And because of that, well, it's kind of like playing double dutch. They got in the double dutch and they're jumping and they're afraid to finally leave because they don't know the world outside of the double dutch. And so it's both sides of that coin. Well, I guess my position is society needs to pick a lane. Is it we all need to shut up and let the experts talk? And that's just a in club with all of the academic cronies. We have our circle. We've all paid to play, and we all circle jerk each other, right? Like we all reference each other's publications. We all, pat each other on the back and pride each other's accolades. We are the ones that promulgate each other's authority in the expert realm. And that makes us the in club. And now we can kind of pick who's in and who's out. Do you want to live in that world where only experts can talk? You know what? I have a graduate degree and I earned it. I actually had to read books. I had to write papers. I had to spend a couple $100,000 and go into debt to get that degree. Do we want to live in a world where we get to go, nope, not even LeBron. Nobody here else gets to talk but me. And in fact, LeBron doesn't get to talk because his is a fake degree. Or are we going to just go, no, we're going to let everybody talk? The buffoon in the comments, from the mechanic to the president to LeBron James to Albert Einstein to Socrates 2,000 years ago, will still consider his ideas. I'd rather live in a world where dumb, stupid, and great, all ideas get to flourish, and the free marketplace of ideas, let us sort out who the expert is. Because guess what, Douglas Murray? It might surprise you when in unison, the world picks the comedian over your stupid ass. So, Ricky, I agree with your point, but that also means soft, gentle, protected LeBron needs to be willing, if he's going to throw his ideas out there, he's got to be willing to let stupid asses like Solar Facts also criticize their ideas. If I don't let it all impact me, then my point isn't worth anything because it can't survive even against the weakest or lackluster points. So I don't know. I think that was a good cherry for the segment. Wrapping up the show, we have a fun game to close out the episode. Sometimes we like closing out the episodes instead of another segment. We go to a game. And today's game is Headline or Headlie. And I flip it all to you to help us develop a strong consensus. So throughout the game here, we're going to have a competition. I've got 3 rounds and a tiebreaker. So it's going to be Will, Ricky, and Silent all competing against each other. I request everybody that's viewing this with us to jump into the comments and play along. But I am going, it's two truths and a lie. I'm going to read 3 headlines, and I'm asking the contestant to pick out which are the 2 truths, but more specifically, what is the head lie? And 2 of them will be true, 2 true headlines. So, Will, flipping it to you,
cool.
kicking off the segment. I got 3 for you. Tell me which one's the head lie. First one is climate change will make Earth uninhabitable by 2030. 2, Kansas City Chiefs fans booed players during a moment of unity against racism. And 3, California school district spends $2.3 million to replace offensive white chess pieces with multicolored alternatives.
Read me the first one again.
The first one was climate change will make Earth uninhabitable by 2030.
And the lie, I would say, I think the third one's true. I think the first one's true. I'll go with the second one.
So you think the second one, the Kansas City Chiefs fans booed players during a moment of unity against racism, that was reported by the Daily Wire. The other true report was by The Guardian. Climate change will make Earth uninhabitable by 2030. Yeah, the fake news article was the California school changing offensive.
That one sounded so ridiculous. I'm like, it's got to be true.
Right?
I was like, it's got to be true.
Hey, that's what makes it a good game. All right, Ricky, maybe you could steal a point here. Coming to you.
The California one sounded very true.
Didn't it? I was like, that's gotta be it. Like, that's gotta be. That's so dumb. California. California is what got me.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. I got 3. Which one is the head lie? First one: Smithsonian adds climate grief therapy pods to dinosaur exhibit. The second one is legalizing illegal immigration benefits the economy in every way. And the third one is every Republican opposes women's rights and equality.
I wondered if that's true. Ricky can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, Ricky, you're muted.
The first one is the lie.
Ricky's got his finger on the pulse. The Smithsonian adds climate change grief therapy pods to the dinosaur exhibit. That is the fake one. Ricky pulls out with a point. The legalizing illegal immigration benefits the economy in every way. That was the Huffington Post. And every Republican opposes women's rights and equality was reported by CNN. Silent, coming to you, looking at head lie or headline. Can you tell me which one is the head lie? First one is defunding the police leads to safer communities. The second one is federal study finds that gas stoves cause microaggressions in multi-generational households. And the third is the mainstream media is the only trustworthy source of truth.
I'm going to go with third.
That's true.
The mainstream media is the only trustworthy source of truth was reported by CNN.
I was like, dude, that's got to be so
Of
true.
course they'd pat their own back.
Wow,
gave him
CNN.
that
Yeah,
one.
now that you say it, that sounds like some CNN would report it.
I was like,
Yeah,
they couldn't help
honestly,
themselves. They're like,
CNN
trust
is
us, bro. Trust us.
Believe it or not, I hope you believe it because boys, it's absurd. But the lie was how a federal study finds that gas stoves cause microaggressions in multi-general households. And then the defunding the police leads to safer communities. That was reported by MSNBC.
Right.
Okay. Bringing it back to Wilbur. Wilbur, Ricky's the only one pulling away so far, but you're tied with Silent. Can keep it competitive here. Question 4. Which one is the head lie? Conservative Christians are a threat to secular democracy. Second one is global warming makes children fat. And the third one is Harvard introduces Unlearning Excellence seminar to dismantle achievement hierarchies.
Could you just repeat the second one again? That made me laugh.
Yeah, let me do you the favor here. Global warming makes children fat. Which one's the head lie?
I'm going to go with the third one.
Wilbur puts himself on the board. Harvard introduces Unlearning Excellence seminar to dismantle achievement hierarchies. That's the fake article. Conservative Christians are a threat to secular democracy. That was reported by The Guardian. And global warming makes children fat. That was reported by CBS Mornings.
Dude, that one was too, like, it's like, yes, of course, they would make that a reason.
Yeah, right? All right, looking at Ricky. All right, you could keep your lead here, or you're going to keep Will on your coattails for some competition. Looking at question 5. Seattle votes to rename manhole covers they holes in a move toward inclusive infrastructure. Second one, banana-phobic minister has aides check rooms before she enters. And the third one is inflation is good for you. Which one is the head lie?
Let's go with A, the first one.
Seattle votes to rename manhole covers they holes in a move towards inclusive infrastructure is a fake article. Ricky pulls away with another point.
Nice. I thought so too.
Securing a lead.
The third one was like so obviously true.
Right?
It was
So
like, yeah,
banana-phobic minister has aides check rooms before she enters. That was reported by The Times. And inflation is good for you was reported by The Intercept. All right. Coming to Silent. All right, Silent. Which one is the head lie?
That's Ricky.
Oh, we don't want Ricky. Get that guy out of here. All right, Silent, looking at you. Maybe Christmas shortages are a gift. The second one is University of Vermont bans capital letters in emails, cites tone aggression. And the third one is Donald Trump is escorted off the stage by Secret Service during a rally after loud noises ring out in the crowd.
I'm going to go with the third one.
You know what's crazy? I'm sorry, but that's wrong.
Yeah.
This is about the assassination attempt. And they literally
that was the headline?
They reported it as
loud noise.
I remember that.
Because that's how my head went, right? My head was like, they barely escorted him out when he got shot. So why would they escort him out when there was loud noise? I was like, that has
the
to
fact
be
that this article is about that instance and they're calling it loud noises only highlights the absurdity of modern media. And furthermore, one thing I'd like to highlight. So that was by AP News. The other one that was a real headline, maybe Christmas shortages are a gift. That was by Yahoo Finance in 2021, which is so funny because in 2025, when Trump makes the same comment, but revolving around tariffs, it's like the end of the world. So like 4 years ago when they're like, hey, you may not be able to afford Christmas, but it's a gift. And then when Trump's like, hey, maybe you don't get $20, you get 2. They're like, what? It's just, everything's so phony. All right, Will, I got to say, you're the only one in the running behind Ricky.
Okay.
So here's your chance to make something happen, and maybe we got ourselves a bit of a competition. Otherwise, Ricky's going to pull away true victor. Question number 7, which one is the head lie? Florida man arrested for throwing alligator through drive-through window. The second one is a dog is mayor in his town. Quote, I didn't take it as a joke, says owner. And the third one is Texas man fined for refusing to acknowledge neighbor's emotional support wind chime.
It's the third one.
Texas man fined for refusing to acknowledge neighbor's emotional support wind chime is a fake article. Will pulls away with a point.
Nice. I've heard those first two. I knew it.
The dog mayor was reported by the Washington Post, and a Florida man who was arrested for throwing an alligator through a drive-through window. That was Fox News.
Oh, I remember reading that article too. That was one of those I saw. I was like, Florida man's back.
Florida man's back. Well, I'm excited to move on to this next round because we've really got some skin in the game. Ricky's got to lose this, and if he does, then we've got a tiebreaker. Otherwise, Ricky could pull away true victor as we sit here. All right. Question number 8. Can you pick the head lie? Burglary suspect stuck in chimney calls 911 for rescue. The The second one is Colorado schools replace recess with daily mindfulness marches led by therapy llamas. And the third one is new North Korea zoo features chimpanzee that smokes a pack of cigarettes a day. They insist she doesn't inhale.
He's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
He put his head down like, shit.
They're both wild. They're all wild stories.
They are.
All right. What was A again?
Burglary suspect stuck in a chimney calls 911 for rescue.
All right, that's true.
Someone's been there. Someone has been there before. You know it.
I heard worse stories of people snitching on themselves. All right. So either chimpanzee smoking cigarettes in North Korea, and the second one is
Colorado schools replace recess with daily mindfulness marches led by therapy llamas.
I think that one is fake because Colorado get colds during winter, and how do you go to therapy walks with llamas?
So you're going with the llamas?
B. Yep.
Colorado schools replace recess with daily mindfulness marches led by therapy llamas is the fake article, and Ricky becomes our victor.
Damn it. Damn it. I was like, son of a bitch. Instant he said B, I was like, you bastard.
I was.
They don't have shit
It
to
was
do in North
llamas. It
Korea.
was llamas. It shouldn't have been llamas.
No, you know what I think it was? Replacing recess. If it was just added like as a feature of recess, it'd be more believable. But nobody's eliminating recess in its entirety. The burglary suspect stuck in a chimney was reported by Fox News, and the North Korea chimpanzee that smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, that was ABC News.
They ain't got shit to do in North Korea.
I want to bring Silent in for one last one. Maybe he could get a point on the board. I'm hoping, just because took the time
Probably
to put it
not.
together.
I don't really read the news that much, but yeah,
You got to do it for the chat. You
We'll
owe
try
it to
it.
the chat. You got to find
We'll
it.
try it. We'll try it.
He's been in Asia for 70 days. He's been out of the news.
That's it. Unplugged. We're plugging it back in. That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Question 9. Which one's the headline? San Diego Zoo apologizes for displaying unwoke animal behavior without contextual signage. Number 2, man legally changes name to Bacon Double Cheeseburger. And 3, woman who married a 300-year-old pirate ghost announces their marriage is over.
I'm going to go with A.
You're going with A. San Diego Zoo apologizes for displaying unwoke animal behavior without contextual signage. That is the fake article. Bless you.
Oh, yes.
Man legally changes his name to Bacon Double Cheeseburger.
I heard about that one.
Reported by USA Today. And the woman who married a 300-year-old pirate ghost that
Ricky.
announces her marriage is over was by People magazine.
That sounds like some sort of cat lady activity that I've heard before. So that's why I was like, that has to be true.
But you know what? I'm just happy you were able to get a point on the board.
Hey, I got something on, yeah.
That's right. Will, put it on you real quick.
Yeah.
We're gonna play the tiebreaker just for the fun of it. First one to yell out their guest, 1, 2, or 3. Try to get a lightning point here. But we put it together, so I at least want to throw it out to you guys. Question 10. Which one's the headline? 911 call. Subway gave me marinara sauce instead of pizza sauce. The second one is burglary suspects. We know that one. Also stuck in a chimney. You know what? I don't think we're doing a third one. Which one's a lie between the two of these? The 911 call, Subway gave me marinara sauce instead of pizza sauce, or Washington State proposes to ban mirrors in gyms to prevent body privilege.
Oh, definitely one. Definitely one.
I think the mirror one is false.
You all think the marinara sauce is false?
Yeah.
No, I think the gym one for me
is false.
Yeah.
Well, Silent Destroyer is the only one right.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
The 911 call that Subway gave them marinara sauce and not pizza sauce is legitimate.
I don't even want the camera on me. I don't even want the camera on me.
I literally just said that. they snitch on themselves and make the stupidest phone calls to not. Like, I just said that.
Oh my
You ain't
god.
wrong. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody that tag along and join us for the show. Nowlet and all the other folks in the comments. The whole purpose of the live show is to get you involved. So I want to thank the Pickle Gallery, starting it off silent. We love having you back. Tell the folks where they can find you outside the Rethink Tank.
Kick.com/Silent Destroyer live every single day. Make sure to tap in.
Don't miss it because he's going to awesome places and there's some really great content. You might even catch him robbed in the middle of his sleep.
Maybe it might happen. There's a lot of drama happening, so it might happen. You never know. That's why I tune in every day. You never know what's gonna happen.
Never know what's gonna happen. Ricky, tell the folks where they can find you. Just Another Day TV.
Yes, sir. Just Another Day TV everywhere, anywhere, other than your mama's underwear.
You know what? Facts. And sometimes you might even find it there. We appreciate y'all joining us here on the Rethink Tank. Like I said, the whole purpose of the live show is to get you involved. So we appreciate everybody that dove into the comments and added another dynamic to the show. Again, thank you to everybody. It's been a fun night. But we also do our Sunday show. Wake up, have a cup of coffee with us, get a little break from all the chaos and politics of it all, and just have some laughs. That's on our Rethink Actions show, our reactions channel. And so you could check all of that out as well with all our other shows in one central place, and that's at our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. So be sure to head over there so we can check it all out. But otherwise, guys, we'll catch you next week. Peace.